Another cup of coffee. Simon Velasquez was looking over to his left when he felt another body sit down on the other end of the wooden park bench to his right. He didn't feel the need to look over at the other person. He was enjoying a gorgeously sunny early spring morning in Southern California, the kind of day made for postcard photos, while enjoying a large cup of black coffee. Several minutes later, he glanced to his right and saw that the other person on the bench was a chunky, middle-aged woman who at his quick glance looked somewhat familiar. He resisted the temptation to outright stare at the woman, trying to figure out how he knew her, and tried to just catch her in roving glimpses. It seemed she was busy watching her child hanging from the monkey bars. It was on the fourth or fifth glimpse that the hair on his arms levitated. He realized that not only did he know the woman, he was once married to her. His blood pressure rose, his heart started to beat faster. He debated with himself whether to ignore or acknowledge her. The argument was cut short by the woman herself. "Yes, Simon, it really is me, the Wicked Witch of the West in person," Devin Velasquez verbalized. Simon slowly turned to face his ex-wife, fully taking in her look for the first time in nearly a decade. To say he was shocked would have been the understatement of the year. He hoped his face wasn't showing his shock. Simon knew Devin was the same age as him, 50, but she looked closer to 60, he thought. She was 50 pounds heavier than when the two were married. She had lines on her face, crow's feet, and her once bouncy blonde curls were now a mousy brown pixie cut. Whoa. Wow. All in all, not really impressive. "Please be a gentleman, Si. I know what I look like," Devin said. "Wouldn't think of being anything less, Dev." "You know that's not who I am," Simon responded. "Which one is your boy?" There were 3 boys on the monkey bars several feet in front of Devin. They were all about the same age as her son would be, 9 years old as he remembered. He just didn't have a clue because he hadn't seen him since he was a baby. She glared at Simon. "The blonde boy in the blue. I know you don't remember, but if you ever knew, his name is Brandon," she said, with more than a hint of annoyance in her tone. "Sorry, Devin. He's a good-looking kid," Simon said. "Wow. When is MCG?" "He's also a good kid," Devin said. "He's put up with a lot of shit that he shouldn't have had to, but he's always been there for his mama." It was Simon's turn to glare at his ex-spouse. "Not my place to apologize for his deadbeat dad, Devin." "You made that choice?" he rasped harshly. She grimaced, knowing that Simon was correct. He usually was. She was just too selfish to admit it then. She was turning 40 and was feeling old and depressed. Simon's career as an accountant was going great. Their children, 15 and 13, were doing great in school, and her career as the office manager at a small legal office was coming along nicely as well. Yet, she had regrets. She wanted more, in particular, more excitement. It was just going to be a one-off birthday gift, a special something to help her feel like a kid again on her 40th birthday. The children were set for the weekend at her parents' house. With the help of a friend, Devin had invited a 19-year-old kid from the local college to give her a night of debauchery, her term. It would be Simon's decision whether he wanted to stay and watch or leave for the evening. It wasn't a request. The setup was a done deal. His only decision was to stay or go for the night. "No! Not just no, but fuck no," he yelled when she told him. "I'm not letting you fuck some 19-year-old shithead so you can feel young. We made vows 17 years ago. They didn't include a one-night opt-out when you turned 40. It's my body, and I can give it to whomever I choose," she said. "I need this. It will be good for me, and that means it will be good for you." There it was in a nutshell, he thought. If it was good for her, it would be good for him and the family. She knew he loved her too much to ever deny her something she really wanted, and she really wanted this. The same way she wanted, and got, that oversized fancy house and that oversized fancy SUV she drove. He tried his best to talk her out of this craziness, but she would not be deterred. He made one last attempt before Mr. College Boy was due to show up. She sneered at him when she denied his request. Simon left at that point, doing his best not to cry as he grabbed his wallet and car keys. He drove off in a huff, although 10 minutes later, he returned and quietly parked at the end of his block. He had to see for himself that his wife was actually going to do this. A few minutes after 8, a late model SUV pulled into his driveway and a tall, muscular-looking kid got out of the car and rang the house bell. Damn fucker is a big kid with bad taste in cars, Simon thought to himself as he watched the younger man enter his house. His hands were trembling in rage as he gripped the steering wheel of his Mustang. Simon didn't see what his wife had changed into when he left the house. She greeted Lee Carter at the door with a skimpy halter-top braless, crotch-grabbing 2 short jean shorts and come-fuck-me heels, an outfit she had never worn in front of her husband. She wasn't going to make her young lover work for it very hard. Wow, I like, the young man gasped, looking at the woman up and down like a wolf leers at a bunny. Devon blushed when she felt her pussy lubricate heavily in her shorts. As she couldn't wear pants under the tight short shorts, her moisture was soon obvious to the young man's eyes. He smiled brightly, stepped up to the woman and planted his best kiss on her soft, sumptuous lips. Devon wrapped a leg around the young man's hip as the two continued kissing deeply for several long minutes. He finally lifted her by her ass cheeks and carried her to a chair in the living room, placing her down in front of it before pulling the halter top knot behind her neck, causing her boobs to spill out gloriously. They continued kissing passionately while the young man happily played with her tits. It was a couple of minutes longer before he unbuttoned and unzipped her shorts. By this point, she was dripping down her legs and his hands were covered in her fluids while he pulled down her shorts. Devon moaned loudly when Lee rubbed her protruding vaginal lips and easily slipped 2 fingers into her gushing pussy. He pushed in and out several times before he rubbed his thumb over her engorged clitoris, causing her to shriek wildly as her orgasm washed over her. Lee continued manipulating her sex until she stopped spasming. He then turned her to the side of the chair, bent her over and speared her with what she felt was the largest, fattest penis she had ever had inside of her. She grunted as Lee quickly built to a sure, fast rhythm with her leaning over the arm of the chair. She couldn't believe that the young man hadn't been in her house for 10 minutes, and he was already slamming into her as if he owned her. She was panting heavily as he was stroking in and out, while a tingling built deep inside her. Fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, she squealed until she lost her ability to speak. Her second massive climax in 10 minutes pulled the young man over the top with her, and he came with a profanity-laced tirade that lifted the woman off her feet slightly. The pounding was both wonderful and painful, a woman noted. Yeah, this is perfect, she thought as she started coming down from her sexual high. The young man pumped several bountiful ropes of cum into the woman, already knowing she was the best fuck he had had to this point in his young life, and that he had more than 3 hours left before her husband would return at midnight. He removed his hands from her hips and gave her round ass a swat on each cheek with each hand. Woo! Woo! He cried in triumph. Although Devon very much enjoyed sex with her husband, the opening experience with Lee was a revelation. Not only did the youngster have a bigger, thicker cock, but at 19 he was fit and had the vitality and stamina of youth. Add that to the fact that Lee's was the first new dick she had had inside of her in almost 20 years, and the evening was turning into everything Devon had hoped it would be. This would be a birthday to remember for the rest of her life if she could get her husband calmed down when he finally came home. Devon didn't have too much time to worry about Simon, however, as her 19-year-old lover's dick was starting to revive after just 10 minutes. She had forgotten how quickly teenagers could recover. The young man came up behind her, pulled her body up straight and cupped both of her boobs in his hands, feeling her nipples harden in his palms. Where do you want to do it next? He whispered in her ear as she felt his half-erect dick poking at her bottom. The pair had sex twice more that evening, once in the kitchen and once in Devon's marital bed. Both she and her young lover seemed especially amped up when he fucked her hard in her marital bed. The woman screaming louder than ever before while climaxing twice in that final session. Oh God, that was amazing, Lee, she gushed as she and the young man lay entwined when they finished. That was the best sex of my life. Devon had Lee out of the house by 11:30. She jumped in the shower, changed the bed sheets, and opened the windows in the room in an attempt to minimize the smell of sex. She was downstairs on the sofa in her fluffy robe drinking a glass of wine while watching TV when Simon walked in at 12:15, looking a little worse for wear and tear. Simon wasn't much of a drinker, but even Devon would admit he had a good reason for perhaps overindulging on this night. He had come home in a cab, so at least he was being responsible, she thought. "Do you want some aspirin before we go to bed?" she said soothingly, as Simon half walked, half staggered toward the kitchen. "We. You think there's still a we here?" he said, using air quotes over his head. Simon stuck his hand out to keep his wife from hugging him. She was disappointed, but not surprised. She got close enough to tell him he had been drinking gin, more than just a few. She could also tell that her husband was doing his best not to cry in front of her. He turned his head away from her as he pulled an 8-ounce bottle of orange juice from the refrigerator before reaching for the bottle of aspirin on the kitchen counter. Devon wasn't going to avoid the subject of her evening's activities as she felt completely justified in her actions, but she wasn't going to be the one to start the conversation. She only had to wait another minute. Hot cow. "I take it you had a good birthday night then," Simon said. It was not a question, but Devon knew he expected some sort of answer. "It was an enjoyable evening." "Thank you for giving me that gift," she said. Let's be clear here," Simon said around a hiccup. "I didn't give you this gift. You took it for yourself." Simon staggered up the stairs with Devon following. He stopped short when he got to the threshold of the master bedroom, with Devon almost walking into his back. He sniffed once, then again. "Even with the window open, I can tell it was more than just an enjoyable evening," he grumbled before walking into the guest bedroom and closing the door. Devon at least knew she should give her husband of 17 years some space. She knew he would eventually come around to accepting her birthday gift to herself. He had never denied her anything that she really wanted in their years together. Even with an overload of alcohol on board, Simon had a poor night of sleep. Up until a few hours prior, he was under the impression he had a good, no great marriage. He wondered how he could have been so wrong. Devon was already in the kitchen preparing Saturday morning breakfast when a harshly hungover Simon staggered in looking and feeling like complete and absolute dog shit. Taking pity on her husband, Devon set a cup of black coffee down in front of him. "Noon. Owie. Will you be able to hold breakfast down, or am I eating by myself?" she asked tenderly. Simon groaned before answering that the coffee was enough. "And I went through the trouble of making Belgian waffles to go along with the bacon," she said, before Simon jumped up from his spot, ran into the downstairs bathroom, and wrestled with the porcelain god for several minutes. He returned to the kitchen several minutes later, looking barely alive. "Why didn't you just shoot me, Dev?" Simon asked. "It would have hurt a whole lot less. The dramatics are all yours, baby." "This didn't have to be a big deal," Devon quietly said. "Obviously, I failed you, Devon, if you felt you needed more than me, or someone else besides me. But I thought you loved me enough that we could have talked our problems out, maybe found some kind of solution we both could have lived with. Or if you would have shown me the respect to at least ask for a divorce first, instead of just crushing my soul," Simon said. "You didn't fail me, Simon." "Don't ever think that," Devon said quietly. "More than anything else, this is about me. I'm one, my ego and my desires. I'm not getting any younger, Si. Just for me, I wanted to see if I had anything left in the tank, so to speak. And I do, and now I don't have to wonder. I've been there, done that. Now we can have the rest of our lives together, until you want to do this again sometime in the future. For some other dumbass reason you can think up," Simon interjected. "I wouldn't do that. It was just one time, remember? Ye see, it shouldn't have been any times. Remember that forsaking all others things," Simon grumbled. Devon turned her face away from Simon. He might have been hung over, but he wasn't stupid. "Do you know we've been married about 6,000 days? What is one night out of 6,000? You're the stats guy. Do the math." "It's infinitesimal," she pleaded. "Do you want your own hall pass to even things up? Is that what this is about? Fine. Die. If you're going to be childish about this, no, I don't want my own hall pass. I don't want to have sex with anyone else except you. Although right now I certainly don't want to even have sex with you. You don't get it. Your selfishness destroyed us, he raged. My selfishness? What about your selfishness? She sputtered. You're telling me you're willing to destroy our family, for one night out of 6,000. For one mistake out of 6,000 days. No, hardly a mistake, Deb. You knew exactly what you were doing and executed your plan. While I would have had a hard time forgiving a mistake, I can't forgive a heartless plan of betrayal. You betrayed me. Oh, please, now you're just trying to be a dramatic, whiny bitch. I didn't betray you. I had a night of great sex with another man. One night. Now it's over and done with, and now I guess you're going to make me spend the next 30 years making it up to you, she said. No, I'm not, Simon said quietly. You can't make that up to me with blowjobs and anal sex. I'm not a stupid, horny teenager that you can distract with sex, like the stupid, horny teenager you had sex with last night. By the way, I wasn't born yesterday. This was a setup from the get-go. Where the hell did you find that kid? Devin's mouth twisted uncomfortably. No. A friend of Marcy's, she started. Son of a bitch, Simon yelled. I should have known that slut would be involved somehow. Tell me she didn't talk you into this. We discussed this, but she didn't talk me into anything, Devin said. She's done the very same thing, but her husband didn't throw their marriage into the dumpster because he got his feelings hurt. What? Edward's a fucking douchebag. You know it, and I know it. You mean because Dash Boy let Marcy fuck some kid you thought you could do it too? Simon asked. Devin shrugged her shoulders. When did you lose respect for me? When did my opinion on important matters like our marriage come below the opinion of Marcy the slave? Despite Devin's protests, Simon filed for divorce a week later. 3 weeks after that, he came home to find Devin alone at the kitchen table, looking like she was waiting on Simon to talk. What now, Dev? He asked sadly, figuring another fight was on the way. She moved her lips, but Simon never heard her words. What? He asked in annoyance, not really caring if they were going to argue. I'm pregnant, came out almost as a breath of air, rather than a sentence. Simon froze for several seconds, unsure what to say. That wouldn't sound like a rebuke. I'm sorry, he whispered back. I'm assuming it had been so long since we used any birth control. You just didn't think. It had been over 10 years since your vasectomy. I just didn't think. If I was thinking at all, Devin said. Looks like I really screwed up good. You know I won't abort a baby, Cy. You know I can't. The kid's 19. He's a sophomore in college. He's got no money. I'm in trouble here, Cy. I'm going to need some help financially, but even more important, I'm going to need some emotional help, some support from my loving husband. We can do this again, Simon. 8 more months of pregnancy, childbirth, the baby years, all the rest. Please. Until a month ago, the sight of his wife in tears would have practically broken Simon's soul. At that moment, however, he just felt numb and wondered if he would ever feel again. I can't raise another man's bastard. As for the rest, those possibilities went away when you decided to freelance. I'm sorry, Devin. I'm out. You're on your own. Yeah. 17 years, I. It's got to mean something, she whined. Perhaps you should have asked that very thing of yourself before, he said. Devin moved in with her parents a few weeks before the divorce was final. Along with her parents, Devin's kids helped her with their half-sister when they visited. The kids rarely mentioned their father. Devin occasionally asked if he was seeing other women. Most of the time, the answer was a negative. Simon sold the family home several months after their second child left for college. Devin was sad to know that the home her children were raised in was gone, but she was extremely grateful that Simon made sure she got her half of the proceeds in a timely fashion. Gradually, the contact between the two former spouses dwindled down to nothing, as Simon stopped going to any family functions, holding his own Christmas and birthday celebrations with just his children and their growing families. I was a stupid, selfish woman. There is no doubt about that, Devon said as the two sat on the bench. But I have to admit, I never saw you going full mental on me. At first, I was pretty sure that you would eventually forgive me. Then I was pretty sure that you would at least be able to cope. But I just never thought that you'd just take your marbles and go home. You were too nice of a guy to just turn your back on me. Uh, on us, even if the baby wasn't yours. You went from being the nicest guy in the world to being completely gone. I never saw it coming. It couldn't have been the money. You've never been selfish with your money. Our kids were even shocked at how cold you had become. I know they expressed those thoughts to you soon after the divorce, but they told me you were impervious to their pleas, and so they soon stopped. You made their last several years living at home very uncomfortable. Did you know that, or didn't you care? Were you just so mad at me that nothing else mattered? I wasn't proud of how I acted because of it affecting the kids, but you deserve nothing better from me, Simon responded. You took advantage of me. I always tried to do my best by you, and you tried to use that against me. Somebody needed to look after me. And to me all. And when I looked around, I decided I was the only one qualified to do so. But Joe Nice Guy had to go away. So, you decided to trash me all over town? She asked. I couldn't get a date with a decent guy if my life depended on it. Did you ever think that was because of what you did to me, instead of something I did to you? If you tried to date within our circle, everybody probably knew about your little stunt. Plus, you had a baby in tow. A 40-something single woman with a baby is not a target-rich environment for guys of a certain age. That is, however, a target-rich environment for younger guys and players. The baby says that you are not averse to opening your legs, and you were a good-looking woman. Did I hit the nail on the head? She briefly looked into Simon's eyes before dropping her gaze. Yeah, I guess. I was just too mad at you to admit the truth to myself, Devon said. That's it in a nutshell, Devon, Simon said. You were too mad at me. And why? It was all about you, what you wanted, your feelings, your expectations. You never gave a thought to what I wanted, my feelings, my expectations. Maybe because I was too nice a guy, always trying to please you. I guess you began to see yourself as above the rest of us, rightfully up on that pedestal I put you on. You became a narcissist. If it was good for you, it would be good for me and the rest of the family. You were so into yourself. It shouldn't have been a surprise to you that I wouldn't accept your damn birthday gift to yourself. We had discussed fidelity many times, and I never gave you even the slightest indication that I would just give you that. I thought we were on the same page, and that I never had to worry about you even asking me for something like you did. You're a real lie. Why couldn't you at least have loved me enough to try to work it out, Si? You never even tried. You just turned your back on me, Devon said. If you recall, I tried to talk you out of doing the deed. I tried before, knowing that it would be too late once you did it. I knew you wouldn't be able to unfuck yourself, and at that point, we'd be done. How could you not see that? Devon grimaced. I saw it. It's just that I was so full of myself, I just knew. I absolutely knew that you'd forgive me after a bit. You surprised me. And okay, you didn't surprise me. You were consistent. But I was surprised that you didn't give in to me. I had you wrapped around my little finger, giving in on the house, the car. That made perfect sense, Simon said. In the grand scheme of things, those were unimportant. Your fidelity, on the other hand, was tremendously important to me. How could you not see the difference? Why, nay. Oh, I was so sure that I could get you to change one of your core beliefs because of your love for me. Marcy told me your love for me would win out in the end, Devon said. Simon's eyebrows raised. He pursed his lips. Ah, Marcy. There is the missing link in this tragedy. Her, you listened to. Me, you just tried to ramrod through. I was your husband. It should have been the other way around, Simon said. And speaking of the stupid bitch, what role has she been playing in your life? It was Devon's turn to purse her lips. I hadn't spoken to her in more than 5 years when I finally realized she didn't have my best interests at heart. She was perfectly happy to be my wing woman while I slutted around after you were gone, until I realized she just wanted to have a partner in crime. A true friend tries to help you improve yourself, not help you slide into the gutter. It took me a while to see it, Devon said. So is your birthday boy supporting his family? You don't necessarily look like you two are doing that great, Simon said. Does that make you feel better knowing that my life hasn't turned out that great? She snarked. Simon stared at her disapprovingly. No, he hasn't paid me a dime in the last several years. He moved out of state and stopped sending his support money. I tried tracking him down, then realized it was costing me more money to track him down than it was worth. Shit, none of what I did with that kid was worth what it cost me. She shook her head slowly as if trying to clear her thoughts. Suddenly, it dawned on her. Which one is yours? She asked, taking a quick look at the various children in the park. The little guy over on the swings being pushed by the thin redhead, he answered. Devon took a peek at Simon's ring finger and caught that it was occupied. Is she your wife? Looks a little young for you, she said, with more than a hint of snark in her voice. She's 37. Takes good care of this old guy, and our son, Liam. He's 3, Simon said. Wow. Younger than mine. Why would you want to do that, with our 2 grown and out of the house? Devon inquired. Camille, that's my wife. Didn't have any children with her first husband, but she really wanted one, so for her, I'm not in bad shape for a man my age. Still hit the gym regularly, ride my bike some, and the wife and I have our own aerobics. Simon said, blushing at the end when he realized what he said. Okay, I get it, sigh, Devon said. I'm glad for you, I guess. You didn't deserve what I did to you. Simon chuckled mirthlessly. The sound unnerved his ex-wife. No, too. I didn't deserve what you did to me, he responded, but eventually it worked out really good for me. Really good. But still, don't expect a thanks from me. After several seconds of silence, Devon started to speak, but Simon looked up at the sound of his wife's voice coming from over by the swings. Oh, got to go. Hey, I've got this mostly full cup of black coffee here. It's not like we'd never traded germs before. Do you want it? Sure. Thanks, Devon said quietly. Simon got up and headed toward the red-headed woman and the small child. His grin extended from ear to ear.